fellow Crusaders, and welcome to another episode. My name's Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels, and we are here doing a duo review today of two of probably more of the bigger movie releases of the summer: Scary Movie and Masters of the Universe. One I was definitely more excited for than the other. I think Brian would kind of be in the same boat in that, in terms of excitement level, or you kind of based on.
I was kind of equal on them, honestly.
Are you going on both?
Yeah, I wasn't until I saw a scary movie trailer, and then I'm like, you know what? I think this looks good, but it heightened my anticipation.
See, the trailer for me made me feel like, yeah. We'll get into
preview
it.
of the show. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it. If you guys have seen, I'm in a new location now. I moved. That's why we are doing this a little later than what we normally would have done.
Now in a Russian prison, being interrogated.
Yes. So new digs, not as much as I would have liked the old digs, but
And there's 6 days. Give me a break.
Yes. I've been working on this for like 6 days in a row. I'm so tired, but I did manage to find time to get away from all the moving stuff to go see these two films. How we're gonna do this is we're gonna talk about Scary Movie first. We'll have a non-spoiler review, and then we'll have a little bit of a spoiler discussion because there's definitely some stuff to talk about spoilery wise for that. And then we will go into Masters of the Universe, non-spoiler, and then talk about anything spoiler after that for as well. So we'll let you guys know when we go to spoilers. So if you guys want to jump ahead, or if you guys don't care and want to watch it, then just fucking watch all the spoiler stuff as well, like always. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start with Scary Movie. I went back and rewatched all of them. Well, I say almost all of them because I couldn't make it past like 30 minutes of Scary Movie 5. I had to shut that shit off because that shit is fucking awful. But I went back and watched them all, say about a month or two ago. You just went back and rewatched them all because I saw your Letterboxd.
I binged the whole series over the course of like a week, yeah.
Yeah. And Brian and I, for the most part, have kind of been in like the same wavelength when it comes to parodies. We love parody movies when they're done correctly. I think we even did, I think it was when we did Weekly Crusaders. We did a National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, and we were waiting to shit all over it. And we were like, this is how a parody movie is supposed to fucking be done. Like, this was amazing. And then we were super excited for like Naked Gun. Was it last year with Naked Gun or 2 years ago?
I think it was last year. Yeah.
I think it was last year. And we were so amped up because the trailer was great, and it just missed on like 90% of the jokes that they were trying to do. So I was heeding my expectations when it came to Scary Movie because of what happened with Naked Gun. And because the main reason is we didn't know exactly how far they were going to go with Scary Movie nowadays, because the comedy back in the early 2000s is way fucking different than the comedy now. Everyone gets offended now. You have to like go through 12 different layers of checks before you can do one joke before you decide if you're going to offend somebody. And we didn't know if they were going to have to do that or just say, fuck it, we're doing whatever the fuck we want to do. Plus, like I said, the trailers for me just kind of felt like the downward fall of parodies was after Scary Movie 3, where it was just like, we're just going to make parody movies because we know they make a lot of money, but now it's just we're going to parody movie trailers for movies that haven't come out yet, and we're going to have 18 different parodies of a movie in one scene, and none of them are going to be funny, such as like your date movie, superhero movie, disaster movie, Meet the Spartans, like all that bullshit that are just horrific fucking parodies. If I find people who say, those were great, like, I can't take you seriously as a person anymore, and if you come to me and talk to me about movies, I'm going to remember you liked, disaster movie, and that's fucking hot garbage. I let Brian have a pass for movie 43, but that wasn't a parody movie though. That was just shorts, so it at least wasn't like it was doing its own thing. But you said that you were actually more positive with the trailer. Tell me why, because I felt the trailer was very much seeing all the things that were wrong with parodies, but you didn't feel that way?
I honestly didn't feel that way at all, and I know other people have felt the same way you do. But I for some reason it just worked for me. It's because I feel like, so just the Scary Movie franchise as a whole. It's like I think the first one was kind of the return of the parody. I thought it was extremely well done. It's still the best of the series. 2 was a step down, but I mean it's still it kept the same formula, the same kind of comedy. It focused on spoofing like one genre with like this time instead of like the killer ones from like Scream movies. And I know we did last summer. That one went on to like the haunted houses. Yeah, haunted house in general. I mean, there was references to Haunting and House on Haunted Hill and Exorcists and others, but it still had one like a primary thing that it was spoofing. And then there's like little references throughout. Because I mean, like those first two movies, they were contractually required just because of the time they came out to have like Matrix spoofs because everything did at that point.
Yeah.
Scary Movie 3, I think, obviously that's when the Wayans left. And so things changed. It got taken over by Zucker, who was kind of the guy behind the Airplane in that, which it's a sensible transition if you're not going to have the Wayans, although they should have kept them doing it. But it did kind of feel like it started to change because that one, I mean, it was still funny, but it didn't quite feel the same as the first two. And then after that, it just kind of went downhill because Scary Movie 4, like that's when it started to feel more like those other ones, like epic movie, date movie, those where it's just like it was almost less about the horror genre they're spoofing and more just like here's our base story. We're just kind of references to pop culture, not even horror stuff, just pop culture things. And then by the time you hit 5, it's like their main focus is Paranormal Activity, which that's already a first mistake because that fucking sucked. But I mean, if that movie is your primary thing you're spoofing, I'm not sure there's enough to that movie to spoof. And then your secondary one is like Black Swan and shit like this. I'm like, what? And then it was even more just references. They're all the act cast has changed except Simon Rex is back, but as a different character. Charlie Sheen is back, but as himself this time. So it's like it clearly was not trying to follow any kind of continuity, which is a spoof movie, but still in the other movies, like in the Wayans ones, in 1, 2, and then in 6, there's a continuity to characters. So
well, except that,
and even like Anna Faris in 4 and 5 or 3 and 4 is still the same. Yeah.
Well, it's like except for that fact that like they die in the movies, but then they're back in the second movie and they die.
Yeah, it's a fucking comedy.
Yeah, but they're
like, going into
me,
6. So I saw that. So like you, I had like given up hope. You know, by the time we hit 3, was a little step down, then 4, then 5 was awful. And then in between, like the original Scary Movie, and now you had all those really shitty ones we've already covered. So and then Naked Gun disappointed us, even though we were excited about it, but disappointed us. And so when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I actually thought a lot of it was very funny. I actually think one of the biggest flaws in the movie is that too many of the jokes were given away in the trailer. But I actually found most of the jokes in it funny, at least enough that it says I felt it was promising and I was looking forward to it. And I thought this could actually be a return to form. So the trailer worked for me, apparently more than it did for you.
Well, like I said, for me, Scary Movie, the series as a whole, I've always just been kind of like the first, because when I went back and rewatched them, like the first one was okay. The second one, I feel like, is not better than 1, but to me was more fun than 1.
Really? Because I love the first one way more than 2.
I think it's just because like there's just like just more. I don't want to just say gags, but it's more or less because of shorthand. Like I just remember his gags so like prominently in 2, than I do in the first one. Like if I go back to the first one, I think of like 3, 4 main jokes. The second one, I think of more jokes. And then the third one is probably like the one where I'm like, I like what they're trying to do. They're just not hitting it the same way the Wayans hit it. And that's because, obviously differences in terms of direction and everything.
It was also the first one they would drop to PG-13.
Yeah.
So that was part of the problem is because they go into kind of that a different sense of humor. It dropped to PG-13, which I think really cost it, which is one of the things I'm sorry, I was thinking back about the trailer you asked me about. The trailer for 6, and all the marketing would have like every line will be crossed, it's trying to reassure people that it's not going to be, like you said, like this neutered comedy, which we were all, including myself, was worried about because of the current culture and everything. I mean, it seems like some things they didn't mind making jokes about, which I'll probably criticize for just because you will, but I didn't feel like it went that far in crossing all these lines. I think they overpromised a little bit there, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. I mean, in terms of were the jokes neutered? I do think they went real far. Now, I don't want to say real far. They didn't hold back or pull any punches in this. I do think like the way they did certain things, I'm like, oh shit, they actually didn't go there. Good for you guys. Good. Don't fucking be scared. Good for you. Like there's certain jokes where I'm like, okay, but then they had to go and they had certain characters where I'm like, okay, I get it. We're having to do the woke stuff or the trans stuff and all these jokes or the they, them, which that was in the trailer. But it was just like, these jokes are stupid to me. And that's the whole point, that they're supposed to be stupid. That's why they're in there. That's why they're jokes. But it was just like, we didn't have to do those jokes. We could have just kept the movie the way it was. But there were jokes that were in there that made me go, okay, yeah, they're not scared. They're not worried. They're fucking doing what the fuck they want to do. And I remember going there because I saw this Thursday night. I saw Masters on Friday. I was exhausted working all day on the new place that, like, I was like, I gotta go see a scary movie. I fucking don't want to go see a scary movie. Like, this is gonna suck. But I was like, I know I gotta shoot with Brian, and I'm not gonna go see both movies on Friday, so I gotta make myself go see a scary movie. And I like went to like the 10:30 showing, and I was just going there so begrudgingly, like, fuck, okay, here we go. And I will say, for me, and I'm just rolling into my review, and then you can go your non-spoiler. There were a lot of good laugh-out moments. There are definitely moments where I wrote in my head, I'm going, remember that for nominations. Remember that one for nominations for the awards. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. But there were things in it that I just didn't like, such as the new cast. Now, granted, they were playing typecasts. They were playing types. I know my least fucking favorite was I gotta find her name here. See, I can't. Olivia Rose Keegan, who plays Sarah Campbell, who's playing Anna Faris's daughter. I could not stand her performance because she is doing, and I get what she's doing. Before you jump on me about this, I get what she's doing. In case, I don't know if you liked it or not, you might have hated her just as much as me, but I know a lot of people are going to go, you don't get, no, I get it. She is doing her most spot-on impersonation of Anna Faris. Oh, God, she's trying to do all this from Scary Movie 1. And at first, I'm like, at first we didn't know she was Anna Faris's daughter until, like 5 minutes later. So I'm like, is she doing this because she's the main girl? Like, what the fuck's going on here? And then it started to get annoying because she went in and out of it. She was playing like two different versions of her character. She was playing, I'm impersonating Anna Faris, so because I'm the main girl. And then I'm also playing like this disgruntled bitchy daughter and bitchy sister. And she just came off as unlikable as hell. Same thing goes for the sister. Her name is Ruby. No, that's not her. Savannah Lee Nassif, who plays Tuesday Campbell, a.k.a. the Jenna Ortega version of Scream 5. Because the main story is Scream 5. That's the main central story, and then you throw all the shit in between. She was more likable, but she was also annoying. And then you've got the boyfriend who's clearly trying to be Jack Quaid from Scream 5. And then you've got the twins who are basically playing the twins in Scream 5. And none of them made me laugh. None of them were enjoyable to watch. And I just hated them. And then you had the rest of the friends. You had the slutty friend, who honestly was the only one that really kind of made me chuckle a few times. And then you had the trans friend who was so over the top, beating it over with a dead horse, which I get that was the fucking joke. Doesn't mean it was funny, though. Doesn't mean that I liked it. And it's just every time that they were the central part of the movie, I was checking out. But when the OG cast came in, that's when you could tell, like, the new cast was like, let's do all the woke jokes. And the old cast is, fuck that. We're doing the shit that we know is funny. Marlon and Sean Wayans, every time they were on screen, were killing me. Every single joke of theirs to me fucking hit. Every single time. Anna Faris, she got better as the movie went on. I felt like she was... I feel like it's a movie. It's not like she was in like a wrestling match where she had to find her footing, but it just felt like it took her about halfway through the movie for her to find the groove of what makes Anna Faris funny in these movies. And then Regina Hall, I love Regina Hall, but I also felt like she took till halfway to the movie to finally find what made Brenda great. But I enjoyed it when the OG cast was on. Were there skits that just were so forced in. Like, there's one where like they're forcing in a skit, and I'm like, oh, but this is a movie trailer, and I'm like, then we don't have to like the Michael skit, like, and that's in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler, but it was like there was no
easily the weakest part of the movie.
There was no need for that skit.
Plus, Kenan Thompson is never
watching TV, watching a trailer that's a spoof for Michael.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need that. You know, especially in the middle of the fucking movie. It's one thing if you're doing it at the very, very beginning, because they did that in like, was it Scream 4 and then Scary Movie 4? They did that. But to put that in the middle of the fucking film was just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Granted, the end part of the joke, I got a chuckle at, which was the end of the trailer, and then what Tuesday said afterwards. I'm like, okay, that was good, but I didn't need all this other shit. Like, that joke just could have kind of went to the cutting room floor. Like I said, OG cast, everyone in the OG cast I thought was good. The weigh-ins were great. Like, so I was kind of like this on like my like meter for most of the movie. I'd be like over here, and then I'd go back to here, and then I was over here, and then I was over to here. Then we get to the ending, and the ending goes one way, and I'm like, if they do this, I'm gonna roll my eyes. But if they do this, I'm gonna be fucking ecstatic. And they went that way, and the ending completely won me over. I could not have been more happy with the ending of this film. It went from like a low 3 to a solid upper 3.5 for me score-wise because of the ending. It is the best, if not tied for the best with Scary Movie. They're both the same fucking title. The OG Scary Movie. I think that there were certain things that were forced because, once again, it's a spoof movie. They got to force everything in. There were certain things that didn't need to be in. Then there were still surprises in here that got me and made me laugh out loud. And once again, there were certain parts that apparently in my theater, I was the only guy who got the joke, or I'm the only one who thought it was fucking funny. There was one joke I literally laughed the fuck out loud. No one else did. And I'm like, fuck y'all motherfuckers, that was funny. And I'll say it in the spoiler part of it. But yeah, the ending to me was great. I was so happy with how they ended this. It's probably easily the best ending in the franchise, hands down. So for me, I gave it a 3.5. But it was because of the ending that pushed it to a 3.5. Like I said, it would have been a low 3 for me. What about you? What was your non-spoiler thoughts?
So, first of all, the title. Talk about Scary Movie 6, but it's just called Scary Movie. I think that it actually works because I know that the reason that the Wayans brothers give for doing that is because, the franchise was taken away from them after 2, and basically they don't want to acknowledge there was a 3, 4, and 5.
Well, I thought they were basically doing the Scream 5 thing.
But that's what I'm saying. But it also works because on top of that, you get to spoof that all these franchises like Halloween and Scream and that are all doing the exact same thing, which are obviously this one. One of the things I love about this one is this one kind of went back to the first one, well, the first 2, where it was more focused. This was essentially focused almost entirely on Scream 5 and 6, more 5 than 6, but both of them. But then they still had outside references to lots of other horror franchises and a few non-horror things. But it was focused mainly on those first 2 movies. So I was really happy that they went back to that. I think that was a very smart choice. I also think that
almost pretty much covers Scream 5 beat for beat.
Yeah,
like that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it was very much, like I said, it's very much like the first Scary Movie in that case, where the first Scary Movie was essentially Scream with a little I Knew What You Last Summer. But it just took that framework and put everything else in. That's what they did with this one too, which I think was very smart. Because then, the other thing I thought was very smart about this movie is, well, whether by choice or because they're forced to, they've taken so much time off. Not only since the last time the Wayans brothers did it, but since like there was any scary movies, that they aren't grasping and scraping for things to spoof. They aren't having to bring in as many just random pop culture things or non-horror movies because they've had time. The genre has had room to breathe. A lot has changed. There have been whole new subgenres like with the A24 elevated horror and all those things. and there's been so much more has come out, both in individual films and, like I said, subgenres, that they have more material to work with now, and they can pick and choose and do the best things they can.
Oh yeah, there's movies that I thought they were going to cover that they didn't.
Yeah,
I
so
thought
I
they
thought
were
it was
gonna run that one.
yeah, so I thought it was very smart that they well, like I said, it wasn't necessarily my choice, but I think it was very good for this franchise that they did take this time off and had more things to spoof. I largely felt, I think, the same way about you. I think more of the jokes hit for me than missed. A little more for you, more than you, because I mean, like any spoof movie, the jokes are coming, a mile a minute. There's so many jokes. It's a matter of quantity. But for me, like, the hit to miss ratio was definitely far more on the positive side. There were definitely some that didn't hit. Like the Michael one is the worst one of the thing, because I mean, having a Michael spoof makes no sense. It wasn't even really incorporated in the movie. It just happened to be something they were watching on TV. And you have Kenan Thompson, who's never fucking funny. So like, that was easily the worst. And there were some other jokes that, not to that extent, but there were other jokes that definitely didn't hit for me or didn't work for me. But it was just like, okay, this joke came and went, and then you move on to the next one. And so many of them to me were funny. Like I said, my one concern was that so many of the funniest one, what I thought the funniest ones, I mean, there were definitely funnier ones, but a lot of the funny ones were given away in the trailer. So like, something was coming up and you're like, oh, this is a scene, like, oh wait, I've already seen this entire joke.
I don't know. Some of the funniest parts were not in the trailer.
Well, there definitely were many that weren't, but I'm saying a lot of jokes that I think would have been a lot funnier had I not already seen them. There's like, or things where you get to see the entire, like, the weapons reference. The entire thing is in the trailer. Is in the trailer essentially. The return of what's his name, like John Abraham or whatever, Sydney's boyfriend from the first one. He's back in this movie. Oh no, wait, we saw the entire scene that he's in the trailer.
True, you're right. It was the entire scene.
Yeah. So there were things like that, but I found more funny than not. As far as the individual cast members, the Wayans brothers, it's such a weird thing for me, because I agree with you. I think they are the funniest things in this movie, and probably in the other scary movies as well.
Well, it's funny for me because, like, Shorty, I'm not a big Shorty fan. I feel like the whole, like, just he's high all the time didn't really work, or got borderline annoying in the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, every time Marlon was on screen, it was bam, just hit after hit. Sean always killed me because I always like the I'm not gay, and then he does gay shit. Like, it's just, that always worked for me.
In this one. But that's just it. But what's weirder for me, though, is that outside of the scary movies, I can't stand Marlon and Sean Wayans. I mean, like, Marlon, if he pops up in something like Air or something, doing like a serious role, he's fine in. But White Chicks, fucking shit movie. Little Man, didn't even watch more than like 10 minutes of that thing. All those Wayans brothers. Now that I go back to the Keenan Ivory or Damon Wayans movies, a lot of, like, I'm going to use Sucka and stuff like that. Love those. But the Marlon and Sean Wayans ones, those I found them, I can't really stand them. But in this franchise, I really enjoy them. I think they're one of the best things about the movie. Anna Faris, I think she was just as good as she was in the rest of the movies. She's getting a little weird, but I think that's just how Anna Faris is these days. I watch interviews with her, and I'm not sure she's all mentally there these days. She's acting more like Sydney than like Anna. It's very strange.
Yeah, maybe Chris Pratt did some shit to her.
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. And as far as the younger cast, I somewhat agree with you as far as how they were a little cookie cutter, a little annoying, a little stuff. But that was, I think, kind of part of the joke. Which, as you got farther into the movie,
I don't want to say because of spoilers. No,
I'm not revealing anything major. But as the movie goes on, you realize that is part of the joke that they are spoofing. Is this all these franchises trying to hand over things to the next generation. Olivia Rose Keegan, when she was first on screen, my first thoughts were, after her first couple scenes, I guess, my thoughts were, that was great casting. I totally believe her as the daughter of Anna Faris. Cindy in this movie. I keep saying Sydney. So I thought, that's great casting. But I also, pretty early on, was like, okay, she's trying too hard to just do an over-the-top impersonation of Anna Faris. And it works in some ways because it makes sense because it is an over-the-top comedy and she's supposed to come across as her daughter. But it did get a little bit annoying at times. You're like, okay, can we just take it down like from a 10 to like a 7?
if she had stayed that way the whole movie, I wouldn't have liked it, but I've been like, okay, at least she's staying there. But it would be one scene she's that way, and then the next scene she's not. And then the next scene she's there, and the next scene it's like she wasn't consistent. So it was just like it got to the point where okay, she was just doing that initially for the joke, and now she's just gonna be this character, and then she would go back to it. And it's like you need to make up your mind. What do you fucking want? Do you want to just be an Anna Faris impersonator, or do you want to actually be a character? I don't like either, but just fucking pick one. Stay on one and stay.
Yeah. But then, and like you, towards the end, and at the ending, I really appreciated the way they ended this movie. I thought it was smart to end it the way they ended it. And in the end, I really enjoyed the hell out of the movie. I thought it was a ton of fun. Definitely better than last year's Naked Gun reboot.
Oh, leaps and bounds.
Yeah, and I had a 3.5. I toyed with a 4 at one point, but I'm like, really? No, I can't go 4. I can't go 4. But like you, it's a high 3.5. It's like a 3.75 for me, because I had a ton of fun with it. And the last thing I said, I think in my regular review, was that I don't think I want them to start churning these out again like they did before. But I'm glad we got this one. And if they came out with another one like every, I don't know, at least 5, maybe even 10 years, I'd be fine with that, because then you'd have, like, again, you'd have new things you could do. But this one chose to it had to primarily kind of spoof the whole, what do they call it? A rebootical or a rebooty call, as Marlon said. So I think that it's like that. I think if they wait enough time between them to give them a reason to make another one, that'd be fine. But in the meantime, though, I'm happy we got this one. That was fun.
All right, we're going to jump into some spoiler thoughts here real quick. So here's your 5-second warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, based off of what you said in that non-spoiler aspect, I can tell that the one scene that I laughed out loud that no one else did, you didn't laugh either. Because I loved white chicks. And when we got to the substance scene, I actually really, Terry is kind of like, whatever. Like, she's trying to be Gale. I get it. But we got to, the movie just stops to go to the substance scene. And I'm like, why are we doing this? But then as soon as Ghostface came in and started, got the mask on, he started just doing the whole dance thing. I was like, okay, I'm weirdly digging this. And then they did the substance, and I'm like, okay, what's going to come out of her? That's the question.
The whole time I was waiting to see who the young version was going to be. I was like, who's
I'm like, what's it? And then it ends up being white chicks, and I thought it was fucking amazing.
I thought that was the worst punchline they could have put in there.
No, I laughed so fucking hard. I was like, yes! And no one else laughed.
Because they're smart.
I was like, no, fuck you. That was hilarious.
I chuckled at it. It wasn't, I wouldn't say I didn't hate that joke, but I was just like, I kind of rolled my eyes, and it was more than anything else. I was disappointed because I'm like I said, I was anticipating what the punchline is going to be, who the person's going to be, what they're going to look like, and then it was just that, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
I was happy just because it was a white chicks reference. Did it fit in that scene because it should have been a younger version of her? No, but I was so happy to see the white chicks come back, or one of them. I will say my favorite part, and I know you're probably gonna go, but I thought it was great, and I thought the not the uniqueness, but the parody of it was great, which was the K-pop golden animation scene.
I'm so torn on that because
I loved it.
Well, things as I'm watching it, I'm a little bit kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, this is kind of a dumb joke, and it just seems like one of those random pop culture things they pull in. But at the same time, I'm never going to hear that song the same way again.
I need to. I'm giving it a few days, but I'm going to see if I can find that on Spotify and add it to my list because I'm like, okay, and I'm like, they actually did a whole song. Yeah, yes, okay. Here we go. They SNL this shit. This is perfect. And then the animation was great, and like I said, Shorty didn't miss for me the entire fucking movie, and that part was great. And then the whole Get Out scene was. When he's flashing back to his mom, that worked out so well for me. But yeah, it was just like with the new, like I said, and based off because of how we went to the end, I was like, okay, that's why they're written the way they are. You want them to die. you want these characters to, because like they were saying like the main plot is that all the OGs need to die, and I'm like, fuck that. Like when I heard that, they took out was it Lachlan? That's not his character name, but the actor. I love that dude. So I know he's not a great actor, but I every time I see him, I'm like,
he's great for this kind of role. He's perfect for it.
Yes, he's perfect in these kind of roles. So I was happy when he was there, and then I was like, oh, when he died so quickly. But yeah, like I was just like, man, they better not kill the whole OG cast so the new cast can move forward. And then they ended up doing what they did. And when we got to the inevitable end, where it was like, okay, this is the Scream 5 ending. When Anna Faris with John Wick, I was about to roll my eyes, but I was like, this is actually really good. This John Wick scene's actually really fucking well. Like, you know what? No, I'm here for this. I'm here for this.
Although that scene did make me mad.
Why?
Because it was so true when they said, I was going to do ballerina, but nobody saw that shit. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, as soon as that line happened, I immediately thought like Brian and I are both shaking our heads at the exact same time.
We're like, it's true, but we don't have to like it.
Yeah, it's like, don't fucking hit that. That's still a sore spot, and people should have watched that fucking movie. Yeah. But I get the joke and it hits. but yeah, like I loved the reveal when Anthony Anderson and Shaq were there. And it's like, where's Kevin? Kevin wouldn't do it.
Kevin said no. What? Kevin says yes to everything.
Yes, like that. Everything from that point on, 1,000% hit for me.
Well, and then it also helped. I thought it worked very well because you had Anthony Anderson and you had Shaq in there, and then they're like, and then they had more motive to kill them because like, you guys did 3 and 4, and which after they took it away from us, and it got to be the whole meta thing, And
at that point, the movie stopped and it became real life.
Yeah,
like Shaq, you're only in one scene, but it was a great scene with Dr. Yeah, he went fucking crazy. Like that, everything there worked. And then I love how they were like, "You're gonna kill us because we did it." They had to like give their own references and stuff, and then they take out the young cast like, "Fuck y'all bitches, this is our movie." It's like, yeah. Everything about that fucking worked. I was so happy because like I'm watching, I'm like, I don't hate it, but I'm not loving it. Like there are things in this movie because like the whole time like I'm watching, like I'm trying to compile my thoughts as I'm watching it, and I'm just like, when the OG cast is on screen, I'm loving this. Like I didn't think I was gonna love it when they were doing the stream, like with Shorty doing the stream thing, but then that ended up being fucking hilarious. And I was like, I just like even like the Sinners part, because like when they started the Sinners scene, I was like, now they're just throwing shit in because there's no context to the Sinners scene. It's just all of a sudden just went there, and here's Sean driving an old fashioned car, just going into this church, and why is fucking Brenda there? But then that whole scene went into a whole thing, and God, what's his name? Something Cole, the priest or the Reverend. What's his name? It's something Cole. God damn it! I can't. The cast list is too long for me to see it. I really enjoy that actor. He's a lot of fun. It's something Cole. I know that. He's in like Harder They Fall and all that shit. But I was like, Dion Cole. I actually do really, really like that guy. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna hit the same beats. But then it kept going. I was like, you know what? This is kind of working. Sean knows how to make the gay jokes work. And they just kept hitting. And I was like, anytime Sean or Marlon is on screen, I'm happy. And so like as we were getting to the final act, I was just like, it's fine, but I don't like it. And then we got to the reveal of the killers, the actual killers, and I was like, oh, if they go the route that I'm hoping they go, this is gonna make me love this movie. And if they go the other way, it's gonna make me really pissed off. And they went the right way with it, and I was like just so happy with what they did at the very end. Probably my favorite ending of a movie all year, hands down. Because there's other movies where like that had a great ending, but the movie was great the whole way. Whereas like this one was like, this is gonna make or break this movie for me, and it broke the right way. And I'm like, there we go. Did you have anything else you wanted to do spoiler?
Just a couple things. In the beginning was kind of very hit and miss for me because it starts off, spoofing the Scream 6 opening with
Tiana Taylor?
Tiana Taylor, who
Yeah.
I have never really liked her much. I really hated her in this. I don't think she's a very good actress.
She wasn't even playing a character. She's basically playing herself.
Yeah. But I didn't really like her acting or even that scene. I feel like they could have done so much more. They could have done better.
It had moments, but it wasn't great.
But then they move on to the next scene, which takes place outside of like the amusement park and the Final Destination amusement park.
I knew you'd love the Final Destination.
Well, no, but here's what I loved about it is I think that scene, which they didn't really continue with in the rest of the movie, but at least that scene itself was kind of back to the old days of things like. Yeah, it was kind of like the old days of the airplane, the early Naked Gun or loaded weapon movies, where it wasn't just here's the joke, the focus of the scene. It's like here's the joke. There's a joke on the background. There's a joke going on beyond that. And this was the scene where they were having a conversation. There were jokes and things, but in the background was all the shit going on. It didn't have to be the focus of the scene, but it was still the funniest stuff happening. And I thought that was just very well done.
That was great too, because I'm watching. I'm like, okay, they just like you. They're doing what a parody movie is supposed to do. Is that not all the jokes are front and center? The jokes are also happening behind the scenes. And they only did. I think, to my knowledge, that's the only scene they really did that in. I didn't really.
Yeah, that's what I said. They didn't really continue that the rest of the time.
But they also telegraphed it too by the way the camera was, because like they had one part where like I forgot what the boyfriend's name was. Jack Quaid clone. And Sarah are talking, and then the camera like shifted them to the lower right. I'm like, they want us to look up here, and then sure enough, there was stuff happening over there. I was like, the whole point of the parody is you're not supposed to tell them to look over there. You need to keep them center screen and have that shit happening behind them. Don't fucking shift them over here so you have all this dead space because you're wanting us to look there. And I was just like,
well, I mean, this is the director of Haunted House 1 and 2 and 50 Shades of Black, so he doesn't know subtlety.
Did you ever see the Haunted House movies? I never did. Are they actually even?
I think I might have seen the first one, but if I did, I don't really remember it. And we watched 50 Shades of Black, and that was pretty fucking.
No, fuck that shit. I'm talking about the Haunted House movies.
He also did Naked with Marlon Wayans.
I think I saw Naked. I think I was fine with that.
You gave it 3 stars. I gave it 2.
Yeah, I think I was fine with Naked. I don't think I ever saw the Haunted House ones though. I didn't know if they were worth it or not because it was still in that point of where parody movies were so dog shit that I was like,
I apparently saw the first one. I did not see the second. So
I might have to check those out.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But then again, you like Paranormal Activity, so they may work for you, whereas they didn't for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other real big standout scenes that we can
nothing
talk
specific.
about.
I mean, we're not going to go through and like cover every joke in that.
No. And like I said, the whole Michael trailer was bad. I do love that it ended up being Jermaine. I was like, okay, that was, and then it was like on Tubi. I'm gonna bootleg that shit. Like, okay, that was a good joke.
See, that part was funny, but I think that it didn't. There was no reason for it to exist, and it just everything leading up to that, and it was definitely too long of a joke.
Yeah.
But so it didn't work for me. The other thing that did not work for me, but again, might just because I didn't care about the source material, was the long legs jokes because
I think that was the only way for them to get in. I think that was the only way for them to get in shorthand. That was the only way to get
It's like they want to have Chris Elliott in there somewhere. They had to find somewhere to say, oh, let's make him that goofy, Nicolas Cage character. But I think that it didn't really work for me. It felt like a waste of Damon Wayans Jr. to me. And who's
I would say the only reason why I liked it is because we got Damon Wayans Jr.
Yeah, we got him, and I liked him, but I would have liked him to have a bigger role in more of the movie because I mean it was Marlon and Sean. Kim Wayans had a couple scenes.
Which I was not crazy about her.
No, and then they had a new one. I think his name's Greg.
The youngest, the jock twin is a Wayans.
Yeah, he's actually the son of the oldest sister of the group. So he was there and he was fine. Not always stand out, but he was fine. He was good.
He was fine, but he didn't really have any jokes. He was
kind of the straight man for the most part.
He was just there for everything.
But in this scene, like I said, I wish Damon Wayans Jr. had more to do. I like Heidi Gardner, but again, all those scenes did nothing for me. And then by the time we got to the post credit scene or mid credits, whatever we call it, where it just like went on and on and on. I'm like, this isn't funny, and you're just dragging it out even longer. It was like, what?
I did like the Damon Wayans part of that, where he's like pulls apart, like I just want like a shotgun. I was like, if anyone else was doing the joke, I wouldn't find it funny, but because it's Damon Wayans Jr. doing it, I'm here for this. Yeah. But yeah, and then they had to give Chris Elliott more to do, which I think that them having to do the whole like scene with the headbutting, that scene, they should have just stopped it with them talking about, you know, him in the other room and not actually going in there.
I feel like they filmed this long leg stuff, realized a lot of it wasn't really working, and so they only incorporated a very little bit in the movie and just relegated the rest to the.
There was another spoof that it was in the first act, maybe closer to the second act, that had nothing to do with what was going on with the movie. Kind of like what they did with Long Legs, where they just randomly threw Long Legs in the middle of the movie, and they tried to, we think he's Ghostface Killer. They did another spoof somewhere. It was before the Substance stuff happened, where I was like, why did we just stop the movie to go do this spoof?
I know the Candyman thing felt out of place.
Candyman ended up becoming a weed joke for Shorty, so it felt out of place, but then they brought it back around to make it make sense. But there was something, I can't remember what it is now, but there was something where they completely just stopped the movie to do this movie spoof. I can't remember what the fuck it is now, but I was just like, and that was when I was still kind of like not loving the movie yet. And I'm just like,
the only time for me it felt like it screeched to a halt was the Michael one. But
well, that was I think that was the second part. There was one they did it, and then Michael was 2, and then Substance was 3. But Substance at least had, you know, Cherry O'Terry and everything. But there was, like I said, there was something in the beginning, I can't remember what it was, where they completely stopped the plot to do this other movie parody, and the whole time was like, there was no point to this. There was no point to this at all, except to just parody this movie, which they could have just left this fucking out. But it did more good than it did bad in this, which is why we thought so positively on it. But I wish I remembered this because it just sounds so vague. Like, there was just one part that just didn't fucking work, but I can't literally remember what the scene was. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add before we jump to Masters?
No, I was just looking to see if I could find like a list of the stuff they spoof, but nothing really. I don't see what
that'd be a horrifically long list.
No, I mean, I found a list of it, but I don't really see.
Okay. One thing that did not work for me was the sinners. Not the church scene, but the sinners at the door scene, where they showed up to just randomly do the whole vampires scene.
Why only have gay shit? Yeah, that's it.
No, that part was funny, but it was like, why would Tuesday and Sarah and him all of a sudden, like, I get that they're spoofing sinners, but at the same time, it's like, why are we doing this? Like, I get it, but it's like, this doesn't flow. Like,
I think it's one of those things where you had them, they were going to show up at the house to join the party, like has happened in like Scream 6 and all these things.
5,
yeah. And so they thought, whoa, that works perfectly for us. Since Sinners is one of the movies we want to spoof, we can work that in. But
they already spoofed.
That's one of the things that didn't really make sense, but I didn't mind it because I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it.
Like, it was funny in terms of like, but it was just like, I don't know, having those 3 all of a sudden just be like the reason why they're seeing. They just had 3 other random people try to come in and not have it be those 3, and the joke I think would have worked better, because then it's like, why would Brenda wouldn't have said no to letting them in, but it's because they're doing the sinners thing. I get it, but it's like at the same time, it's like they wouldn't say fuck y'all, don't come in. So it's like the execution of the joke was there. It was the wrong people in the joke for me. But anyway, let's move on to Masters of the Universe. If you guys remember our summer, if you guys watched it, first off, our summer preview, there were 2 movies that I have been championing this summer to do well. One is Coyote vs. Acme, which by the time we shoot the end of summer review, fall preview, it won't have been out long enough to see how well it actually does. But the other one was Masters of the Universe, whereas I want this movie to do so well because I think there's so much to explore with this franchise, but this needs to do well in order for it to work. And so I was so hoping. I wasn't expecting this movie to like be my favorite movie of the summer, not by any means. But I wanted it to do well enough and for people to gravitate towards it and like it enough that it will do enough to be considered a success, so we could potentially get sequels and everything. Because I do really like Masters of the Universe. I watched the cartoons. I remember Sassy Skeletor before he became a fucking meme. I unabashedly liked, as a kid, the movie with Dolph Lundgren because I was a kid. I didn't know any better. You watch it now, like I know it's bad, but it's like one of those things where it's like, but it's part of my childhood, so I'll sit here and watch it, even though I know it's not good. So when they decided they were going to make a live action film, I was like, fuck yes, because we are now at the technology age of movies where we can do this stuff and it will look at least passable. Because when I think of Eternia, I think of like Thor, where it's like we've seen, Thor's world. They're able to do that. They should be able to do Eternia. And it's like, well, how are they going to do Skeletor? Well, they can make Skeletor work and all this other stuff. So I was actually genuinely excited for this. I think the casting for almost everybody, I was generally excited for. I was not excited for Jared Leto as Skeletor because I can't stand Jared Leto. So that was going to be the one performance to me that's the most important. And you casted a dude. Like, you basically casted the Rebecca Hall of male actors for me. Which anyone who knows me,
for Sean.
If y'all know me, y'all know how much I can't stand Rebecca Hall. I really liked who they cast for He-Man. Nicholas, is it Gadsden?
Galatzine, I think it's
Galatzine. I'm gonna always fuck his name up, but
I'm not even sure. But as far as phonetically, that's how it. I'm sorry, Galitzine.
I really like this guy. I really, really do, and I'm gonna butcher his name probably every fucking time I talk about him. I'm glad he's got an easy first name. Let's call him Nicholas. I liked him as casting because I think he can get buff enough. I had never seen him, I've seen him in shape, I've never seen him He-Man shape until this. But I like how his character, or him as an actor, I can believe him as Adam. I didn't know how he was going to be as He-Man, but I could believe him as Adam. Obviously, Idris Elba and Alison Brie. I'm going to watch anything those two are in. But I was super anticipating for this. I was super excited. Plus Travis Knight. I mean, we both love Travis Knight as a director. So at least we're having someone that we believe in who could bring this world to life. And so I was real excited going into this movie. You said you're about on par with Scary Movie. So what were your thoughts of Masters of the Universe before we dive into the actual review?
Well, the thing is, when I was young, I watched Masters of the Universe, the cartoon, of course. I was a little on the older side when it came out. I mean, I was still a kid, but I was definitely an older kid. By the time the movie hit, I didn't actually see the movie at the time. I didn't see it until years later, and when I did, it was awful. Actually, rewatched it the last week. I didn't hate it. It was like it wasn't good. But
I saw you letterboxed it and your score. I'm like, he didn't hate this if he gave it that score.
No, because I originally gave it like a 1, and then it went up to a 2.5, which is still not a positive review. But it's like I could appreciate it for what it was. It was kind of tongue in cheek. It was, and it is. And also lately, I've been on like this Canon Films kick. All this, Global and Games, whatever the names are. I kind of am embracing the cheese of like their 80s movies. So I enjoyed it on some level, even though I think the biggest problem with the movie is that so much of it just didn't feel like Masters of the Universe. I mean, they're using guns more than swords, and they changed the characters. But I won't get into that. We're not talking about that movie. But going into this one, I was cautiously optimistic because Masters of the Universe, it's almost impossible to make this work in a live action movie because it is so silly. Everything about it, from the look of it to the names of characters, which we'll get into later, to all kinds of things about it. It's how can you possibly take this even the slightest bit seriously and make it work as anything but like a kid's cartoon? But then they attach Travis Knight to it. And I will, until he proves me wrong, I will have full faith in Travis Knight for anything he wants to do. If Travis Knight wanted to make a fucking Gabba Gabba movie where that kid's, I will go see it because I trust in him.
He's the only reason why I'll check out Wildwood this year.
Yeah, because I love Leica films, which he's the head of Leica. So even though he's only directed one, being Kubo and the Two Strings, which is possibly their best one, he's had very hands-on, very involved in every one of their projects. And I think while they aren't all at the same level, I think they're all great. I think they're all quality film. Then he takes his first foray into live action with Bumblebee, and then goes and makes basically the best live action Transformers movie that there has been. Because again, he got the tone. He knew how to make it work. Like, yes, we're playing with toys essentially. But one of the things I felt with this film is that he walked that tightrope so well of making it family friendly in the sense that we still know it's based on a toy line. It's a kids franchise essentially, but it wasn't childish. I never felt like this was just for kids. And I thought he did a great job making that work. But Travis Knight, for me, is now 3 for 3. I think he did a phenomenal job. And so he's one of the reasons I was most trusting him going into this movie.
Go ahead and roll this into your review.
You want me to go ahead and into okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I went into this cautiously optimistic. One of the things is this Nicholas Galitzine. I've not seen him, I don't think, in anything. I know he was in that Anne Hathaway movie.
Which he was really I saw that. I thought it was really good. Not that he was really good. He's
also
I have
not seen. I saw Bottoms. I don't really remember him in it. He was one of the jocks. Okay. But other than that, I don't know if I've seen anything else that he's been in.
He was in Sheep Detective this year also.
I didn't watch it. I only seen a few minutes of that.
It's good. It's good.
Lost my train of thought. Oh, Nicholas Goodson. So I went in with no really preconceived notions of this guy, except thinking he looks a little small for the role. Obviously, he was going to bulk up. But, He-Man is He-Man. You picture The Rock. You picture Alan Ritchson. You picture, Triple H, some of these big, huge guys that they'd have to cast. They want to try to make a He-Man movie. But then they cast this guy, and he gets buff, but he's not, extreme buff, like the He-Man cartoon is drawn. But I think it works. I think that it made him believable as, this guy who's kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call him a loser, but he's not not having a successful life, apparently. But then at the same time, and you kind of see him, he's got a childlike mind to him in terms of he's still trying to get back to, the life he knew as a child. He's in this world.
His bedroom definitely looks like a 10-year-old's bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. He got the drawings and everything up there. And yeah. But then when he becomes He-Man, I totally believed him as He-Man. Now, obviously, he was just manifesting these powers and things for the first time, so even he wasn't fully comfortable at first. But then, as it got towards the end of the movie, he felt more confident in the role. He felt like He-Man, or just Adam, because they don't call him He-Man in this movie until the very, very end. But
which that joke did hit really well.
Yes. But so he worked for me. Jared Leto as Skeletor. Sean was worried about Jared Leto being in this movie for no reason, because you wouldn't. Because
Jared Leto tries to make every role serious.
Well, you would not even know it's Jared Leto.
True.
This is why I feel like that worry ended up being for nothing, because they could cast any random voice actor. Because I guarantee he wasn't on set, in a costume, but. There's no reason they had to cast Jared Leto. I mean, I don't think his name is bringing new viewers that wouldn't otherwise see the movie, because especially after his last couple movies, he's not really on a hot streak here.
If anything, it hurt the movie by casting.
And while I actually like Jared Leto and I like a lot of stuff he's done, and even some movies that didn't work, I kind of liked him in them. But even I was just like, what is the point of having him here? It reminded me of Haunted Mansion, where they cast him as the I don't know, the head evil ghost or whatever. Is kind of, but then they never actually show him except in a drawing. The only time you see him is a drawing.
Yeah.
And it's why did they bother casting Jared Leto? So again, I don't know why they spent the money to cast him, but I thought he did fine. His voice is so modulated and stuff, you can't even tell it's him. But the character worked for me. And then down the line, I liked the whole cast. I think they did a good job with the rest of the characters, where they kind of chose a few to kind of make kind of the primary supporting cast. So you'd recognize them and follow them, both on the good side and the evil side. But then there were plenty of other characters that, if you're a fan of the show, which I honestly don't remember a whole lot of it, but I think fans of it probably recognize a lot more characters that they had in the movie, but they just weren't at the forefront like those main supporting characters. I think that there was a good balance of time spent on Earth versus time spent back in Eternia. Because I was worried when I saw the trailers for it, because that was one of the main problems with the 87 movie, is that the whole thing, almost the entire thing, took place on Earth, except 10 minutes at the beginning and 10 minutes at the end. And it's obviously for budgetary reasons, probably in the case of Canon Films. But I think, so I was worried about that. I'm like, oh, they're going to give us just most of this movie's going to be on Earth, but it wasn't. They spent I don't know what, a half an hour or something, maybe a little more, 45 minutes.
I think at least maybe 20, 25 tops. It wasn't.
It wasn't much at all. And then the rest of the movie
was Act 1.
Yeah, and the rest of the movie was back in a tree. So that again alleviated my fears. And as everything went down, it kind of just was kind of checking all the boxes of things I was worried about weren't a problem. The things I was hoping would work, I think they all worked. again, this is not a perfect film. I'm not trying to claim this is a 5-star film or anything. It definitely did not need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes long, not counting trailers and commercials, which pushes it to close to 3 hours at this point. That was a little head scratching. And yes, there was occasionally I felt it got a little too jokey at times, which again, it's supposed to be a lighthearted, fun fantasy film. Travis Knight has always been known to incorporate some comedy and stuff. And Bumblebee was probably one of the more humorous ones. But in this one, a few times I was like, they're trying too hard with these jokes. And it reminded me of in Solo, a Star Wars story, where those scenes you can tell like, oh, that was one of the ones left over from Lord and Miller. Because it was just so jokey and comedic compared to the rest of the tone of the most of the film. And so a couple scenes of that. But for the most part, everything worked. I enjoyed the hell out of this. Again, I don't think I want to see a franchise branch out of this because I don't know if there's enough. I mean, that non-hardcore fans are going to recognize it to want to keep it going. But again, I'm glad we got this one. I had a blast. I had fun with it. I gave this one 3.5 stars.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree with pretty much almost everything you said. I think Nicholas did a great job as Adam. And I think that I love how they were trying to pretend that he wasn't buff as shit when he was on Earth as Adam.
They had him slouch and wear a baggy shirt, but you can tell
his arms are so fucking massive in that shirt. And you're like, he's like, I'm just a little bit. No,
I do think it worked though in his demeanor because he wasn't this confident, He-Man.
No, he was just kind of sheepish. It was kind of like when oh god, I'm blanking on the character. It was one where Rock was not supposed to play confident, but it's the fucking
Central Intelligence.
My brain was saying Central Intelligence.
Or even Jumanji when he was the kid in the body.
Yeah, it's just like it's like he can make himself feel small. He's a massive motherfucker, but it's all about how he and like that's what Nicholas had to do. It's like you can see if you look at his clothes, like, dude, no, you're fucking shredded, but you're acting like you're not. Right. And I like the journey and the story that they were trying to tell with Adam, where he was like the runt, and he never wanted to be a fighter. He just kind of wanted to, talk and just do everything peacefully. But he lives in a world that's not going to fucking happen. And then he ends up going to a world where literally that works out for him. But then all he wants to do is go back to the world that he didn't fit in because he fits in well on Earth. But the problem is that he couldn't get Eternia out of his head. And then he finally gets back to Eternia, and the shit that would work on Earth isn't going to work there. So I liked the journey that he went through as Adam. And I think when he was He-Man, he was pretty much just still Adam, but he just had the confidence because he basically knew that he was, pretty much for the most part invincible at that point. I thought Nicholas did a great job with him. I agree with you on Jared Leto. They could have casted anybody, but it was Jared Leto. So let me, critique Jared Leto. He was great as Skeletor. I was so worried that it was just, especially when I heard his voice the first time, I'm like, oh, we're just going to make Skeletor like the 80s movie Skeletor where he's just evil and bad and all this. And it's like, oh no, he also is kind of sassy. Yes. And he's got jokes. Yes. I love that he talks shit to his people. Oh, you sniveling. He doesn't have the voice. He's still got the scary voice. Yep. But he still is sassy and jokey. And I'm like that first joke where he's laughing. And everyone's just like, you're all supposed to laugh with me. I was like, okay, if this is the tone we're going to get with Skeletor, I'm fucking here for it. And that's the tone we get with him through the whole movie. He's not over the top jokey, but when he hits it, it's like, yes, that's what I want. He was the best part of the movie. So I'm sorry, Jared Leto, even though you basically just did voice work, but I also think his design looked amazing.
You know what I will love? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I loved what they did with the eyes because in the cartoon, it was just empty black, which works fine for a cartoon. But I think in this one, it allows him to show like emotion. It allows him to show, if he's scared, if he's happy, if he's nervous looking around. I think those two little red dots for his eyeballs was perfect because the other option obviously was like
skeleton face worked. Everything about this worked. You could tell that he was wearing a bodysuit. I don't fucking care. It looked great.
Yeah.
I love the way Skeletor looked in this movie. Allison Brie as Evil Lynn.
I was a little disappointed. She was fine, but
she was fine. I can't tell if it was because they didn't give her enough to do.
I think that's what it is.
Or she was being held back of trying to have to play this certain role. And I was just like, because I'm watching it and I'm like, am I going to put her in our new nomination for this year of most underutilized actor? But I'm like, no, she's in it enough. It's just, she's just not doing enough in the role.
But I felt like it wasn't necessarily, she wasn't, I didn't feel like when she was on screen, she wasn't doing enough. I felt like it was like they didn't give her enough to do. Like the things they gave her did not give her room to do anything, you know?
Like she is in it a good chunk. It's just, like you said, what she has to do, it's a very straightforward thing. It didn't allow Allison Brie to breathe the way we know Allison Brie can be. And I think that's more because of the character she was. If she had been like Talia, is it Talia or Tila? Tila. If she's now too old, she's too old to be Tila based off of, who Adam is. But if she was like Tila, that would have been perfectly right there for Allison Brie. Like she would have knocked that role out of the park, but she can't be Tila. I'm happy she was in the movie, but like I think the latest animation show that was on Netflix, I think Lena.
I didn't watch that one. Is it good?
It's fine. It's fine. I didn't watch it going, why am I wasting my time? It was just like, yeah, okay. Lena Headey, she was Evil Lynn. And she was perfect as that. And I think that even at her age now, that would have made more sense. Is having Lena Headey play Evil Lynn. For what they were using Allison Brie for, Lena Headey could have done that. And I think she would have done it better. And that's not a knock on Allison Brie. They just didn't utilize her to her potential in this movie. Idris Elba, great as always. I wasn't expecting the character arc that we got for him for Man at Arms, but I loved what they did with him. Like I wasn't mad with the character arc. Like I thought he was just going to be sidekick of He-Man. But I was like, oh no, you have a central fucking character story arc, and you are the Qui-Gon Jinn of this fucking story, and I'm fucking here for this. I thought Camila Mendes. I liked her as Tila. I thought she was really good. The other side characters, I'm not going to try looking up their names, like Fisto. I thought he was funny. If Lockjaw. I thought they definitely Trapjaw. I think the character designs all looked great. I think Eternia looked great.
That's one thing I will say. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
dude, I interrupt you all the time.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things, like I said, that Travis Knight did so well is that he didn't go like all X-Men 2000 and say, okay, we're gonna take these characters, but they look silly in those costumes. We're gonna put them in black leather. Everything in here, like the Trapjaw and Beastman and Man at Arms and all these people, like cartoon accurate. Their costumes and everything were perfect. Like Tila, I mean, her hair was a little bit different and stuff like that. But by the end, the last scene of the movie, you see everybody in full comic or
even Adam with his Adam outfit, like that was.
But like with all the creatures, like you're talking about Trapjaw and Mechana, everything was just like cartoon perfect accurate, and he made it work. Yeah,
everything looked fantastic. The only character and maybe because I just don't remember him as much as a character, that I was just like, I kind of didn't really like how it was portrayed was Creature. Creature was just whiny the whole time.
Creature?
The cat.
Cringer. I felt he was totally underutilized.
Yeah, he was.
And I wanted to see Battle Cat and not just in a last minute thing.
When he showed up late in the film, I forgot he was in the fucking movie.
Oh, but the best part though is when he shows up first thing in the film, replacing the MGM lion roaring. Loved that.
That was great. But he was completely underutilized. Yeah. But yeah, like the whole opening scene, which goes like 15 plus minutes. It's basically the first act of the film. I loved how much time we spent in Eternia with young Adam and showing how Skeletor took over. I loved all of that. Like I'm watching this, I'm just like, we haven't even gotten to fucking He-Man yet, but I'm loving the world building. I'm loving that we are taking our time and we are telling the story.
And that when you jump to adult Adam, you understand him because of what they did in that first part. Yeah.
I do think, though, that once he became He-Man and we were back on Eternia, it did start to drag at points. There were certain, like I said, that 2 hour and 20 minutes, they could have cut about 20 minutes off that movie. It's 20 minutes too long. There were certain points that I was just like, okay, like, let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Come on. We're here too long. Like when they're in the dungeon before the final act, I was just like, we're staying here too long. There's nothing in here that I'm hating. Like everything's fine, but it's also like we need to go. We need to go. Come on. And like I said, like you said, some of the jokes don't hit. And sadly, a lot of it is kind of the Adam character trying to do the talking. Like, let's talk this out. And I'm just like, I get what the joke is. I don't think it's hitting the way you guys think it's hitting.
I'll touch on that in the spoiler section.
Yeah. But all in all, though, I am incredibly happy with what we got. Like you said, it's not a perfect movie. But for a Masters of the Universe, I could not have asked for anything more than what Travis Knight and this cast did. Yes, should they have probably not had Alison Brie and Evelyn? Yes. They did cast her. Did they utilize her to her potential? No. Cringer did not get utilized, but Nicholas was great as He-Man. Leto's great as Skeletor. Idris Elba was great as Man of Arms. Camilla was great as Tila. Eternia looks great. The action sequences were fun and exciting and enjoyable all the way throughout. Should have cut 20 minutes out of it to just make it a little more tighter. But for me, it's a solid 4. It's a solid 4.
I told you 4. It might still get there. Maybe after I watch it a second time. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I left happy with this. And there are and the end of the I don't want to see the end because there's a stinger right when the credits start. There's a mid credit and then there's a post credit. So there's 3 total. The stinger right when the credits started, they bring in a character, and I'm like, they actually did this? What the fuck? Where was he in the whole movie? You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I wanted him there, but I was like, because like I remember so many people were like, where was he in the 80s movie? But then he put him here. I'm like, where the fuck was he in this movie? Where was he? Like, I'm happy. I'm glad I see him here. I don't know if I want him in a whole movie.
Yeah, I think it was good use of him to have him show up, and be like, "Oh, we love that," but not try to make him like an integral part of the movie.
Yes, so it's like if that's what they're gonna, if he could become like the, oh god, I'm blanking on his name from Ant-Man, where he's like the recap guy.
Oh yeah,
Miguel.
Michael Pena's character.
Thank you, Michael Pena. If he becomes like the Michael Pena of Masters of the Universe,
want to make him a storyteller. That's fine. Yeah.
That's the best fucking way to utilize him. And I'm not saying his name for spoiler purposes, but everyone knows who the fuck I'm talking about if you saw the movie. They already set up for a sequel in the mid credit, and then and in the post credit. So if this does well enough, which I'm hoping it does, the sequel is set up. So let's continue this. I don't need 8 fucking movies of this, but let's get a solid trilogy out of this franchise. I want to see these characters grow and expand past this movie and go from there. So for me, it's a solid 4. Brian said 3.5. That could move up to a 4 on a rewatch. Let's go ahead and jump into the spoilers. I don't think we have a lot to say, but we're going to do that. So here's your spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Orko. Is it Orko or it's Orko, right?
It's Orko.
I almost said Orca. I'm like, that's a fucking whale. When Orko showed up, I was like, oh, I'm so glad you weren't in the whole movie, but I'm so happy I could see you.
It's perfect for a credits thing, yeah.
If Orko ends up becoming the Michael Pena of the Masters of the Universe franchise, perfect setup for that. Makes me so happy. But yeah, when I think most of the jokes that didn't hit was when Adam kept trying to do, I don't want to fight. Let's talk. Can we talk? Let's have a out and out.
I thought that was kind of. I'll let you finish it first.
No, it was like granted that at the end of the fight when he beat the ever fucking shit out of Skeletor, and then Skeletor goes, okay, now let's talk. What do you want to talk about? then that was fine. But it was funny for Leto. It wasn't funny for Nicholas, and that was more kind of just how the beat of the joke was. But yeah, him continually trying to bring in the like HR aspect of his character in Eternia just kept falling flat for me.
I feel like they kind of I feel like they put that in there because the whole concept of He-Man and macho and strength and this is manliness, and especially especially in our modern world, it's kind of like people roll their eyes or frown at that, and so I feel like they kind of put the jokes in to kind of like offset that. But what I like they did is like he's taking all this stuff about you need to talk things out, blah blah blah. But what I loved though is the scene with Man at Arms with Duncan, where he basically says why do you have to resort to guns and violence or whatever, and he's like, no, just because somebody is if you have to go and fight, it's not because you're out there just trying to kill people. It's not because you're trigger happy. It's because you are there protecting the ones you love. These are soldiers who aren't there looking to fight, but they're looking to do what they need to do to defend. And so I think that scene kind of, for me, it didn't, because they did it too much. It didn't offset everything, but it kind of like, okay, now at least I know that the end game of this wasn't to say that, we should talk things out. I was worried that was where I was going to go, but it wasn't. It was Man at Arms Duncan saying, there are times when you have to fight, but you're fighting for the right reasons. And so I liked that they at least had it built to that scene to kind of give it some kind of justification, even though they did overdo it.
See, the problem is that while that was a great scene, that was also in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like Adam.
And then they made a couple more jokes after that. Yeah.
Yeah, like Adam apparently wasn't listening because he's still trying to do this shit. But yeah, like so Idris Elba's character arc where he was basically, I mean, he wasn't the king, but he might as well have been. He ran Eternia. Like everyone was like, he is He-Man. Why he didn't have the fucking sword during that time made no sense to me because he fucking should have had the sword. But he basically was kind of playing what's his character name from Suicide Squad?
Oh, his was Bloodsport?
Bloodsport. I mean, because like every part of him was a weapon. And I was like, he's basically Bloodsport still, but he's an attorney, which I'm not mad at. But it's like, I'm like, okay, every part of him is a weapon. So he's Bloodsport. Okay, that's fine. I'm totally here for it. But yeah, it's like I really liked and then of course he failed, so he failed internally as himself, and he becomes a drunk and everything. I mean, I love that we had that arc. I don't remember if Tila was his daughter in the cartoons. I don't remember that.
I don't remember for sure, but I think she was, because I know in the '87 movie they made her his daughter too. So
okay,
it probably was like that in the cartoon.
Because like when she first called him dad, I was like, wait, what?
I think she was, but I can't say for certain.
I can say, and if it is, I forgot about that because I don't think it flew over my head from the old days, but it's just like it was a part of the character world that I forgot, because when she called him dad, I was like, wait, no, because I could have sworn she said something about her parents, but then she called him dad. I'm like, wait, I thought there was a line there that her parents were gone.
All I can say is her mom must have been super light skinned too. Just saying.
Yes, because that was the other thing too. It was just like, you are look nothing like Idris.
I mean, we're dealing with the alien world. She just overlooked these things, right?
It's fine. I do love that there was a lot of practical, because like was it Moss Man? That's a full suit. That dude wore all that, because there's some like, it's not I don't know if it's a TikTok or a reel where they're all dancing, like Idris Elba and all the dancing, and that guy is in full suit dancing. And I'm
or even like Trapjaw, because I mean obviously when like mechanical things are moving and sometimes he moves his mouth, a lot of that's probably going to be enhanced with CGI, but for the most part it was just a practical suit, practical makeup, and I thought it looked perfect.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure Skeletor outside of the head, that was a suit.
Yeah,
because like even though like the abs, like you're like, okay, I can see that that's a suit. I'm not mad at that. That's great. So like you could have had Jared Leto.
He may have been on set. I just don't see why they would bother if you're not going to use his face. I can see him just doing voiceover work later on. But whoever it was, I think had the whole thing on except for like just tracking marks on the face.
They probably just put like a skeleton like mask over his head, like look, just know this is a skeleton, kind of thing. But yeah, everything about it just looked great. And in terms of like The probably my favorite fight, where I was like, I gotta write this down for best fight, was when He-Man when Skeletor had his dad, and He-Man had to fight like everybody, like the goons and like the henchmen. Like that whole sequence was so well shot by Travis Knight. Everything about that worked, and even like for me, like it hooked me enough to the point where he when he used his full not as well, I guess I don't want to say his full strength, because I don't think we even know He-Man's full strength, but when he like rage blasted and like caused the rocks to fall on his dad, he effectively killed his dad. Like I was like that got me. That moment got me. Like I wasn't like teary-eyed or anything, but I'm like, oh dude, like the one thing you were trying to do, and you let your emotions get the better of you, and you basically just killed your dad. Like, oh man, like that was a great scene. But there was just a lot that really worked for me. And then the whole time watching the movie, I'm like, he's got to bring his roommate. Like, he's got to bring his roommate in here at some point. And he shows him up there, I'm like, there you go. I was like, you can't build this whole part of him in Earth and no one believes him, and then not bring someone over. You know,
like, see, it was real. Everybody thought it was crazy.
Fuck that bitch on the date. Even if you think he's crazy, that dude told you an epic fucking story.
Oh, the date. Okay, that just reminded me of something.
Hold on. Are you talking about the product placement of Coca-Cola?
No.
It's like this Coke. Big shot of Coca-Cola. Pouring it in the cup. And the Amazon truck saving the day because it hits the beast.
Oh, I honestly thought that was kind of funny. I think that was intentional. Like,
I think Amazon always saving the fucking day.
Yeah. I thought so. Anyway, but I was talking. But the date thing reminded me how they went back to the date later on when he was like having his when
Skeletor was
his hallucinations or whatever they were in his head.
Yes.
The scenes of Skeletor in like fucking office wear and shit. I love those scenes so much.
He was in total Office Space gear, and it was great. It was so great.
Like a purple suit or a purple shirt and tie, but he still had the hood.
He was like, "What the hell are we wearing? What is this outfit?" And then he turned around, he knocked out the one dude. He's like, yeah. So like everything about that part worked for me, but like it was also one of those things where it's like the movie's feeling long. This feels long, but I like it, but it's feeling long. But yeah, it was just like, yeah, that date part, I was like, when she left, like, fuck that bitch. Like, that's you have no follow-up questions to that? He tells you that whole story? You have no questions.
I'm pretty sure she's just like, this dude's crazy, I'm getting out of here. Yeah.
But then just still eat your dinner. You don't have to do anything after that. Just say, okay, I had a fun time. Good night, bye. Finish your fucking dinner. Like, he just told you an epic story. Like, fuck her. You know? And like, for someone who has like no confidence, though, she was hot. So it's like, Adam, you
barely got the date. Yeah.
Yeah. And even when he stole the sword, the girl was like, are you single? It's like, Adam, you can get it. Because for some reason, apparently, you know, like say when he goes into his room, it looks like a 10-year-old's room. You know, so it's like, even if you got the girls back to your place, man, you ain't gonna like your room much. But that's the thing too, that is like it's not like he was unsuccessful. You know, he had a job, you know, he had a roommate and stuff like that. It wasn't like he was poor. It's just that he was so fixated on finding the sword that it took him 15 years and it was still in the same state or same city. That's just bad, Adam. But like the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, why does he just go on the internet and look this shit up? And then he started doing like, okay, there we go. Because those one of the things where I'm like, why wouldn't you just do this?
He's probably been on the internet since the internet existed, trying to find it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because like that, before he even did it, my whole brain was like, just get on the internet, dude. And then he got him like, okay, shut up, Sean. Just let the movie. Let the movie do its thing. Because the whole time I'm just waiting.
We'll say this about the sword is like the whole thing is Skeletor wants to get his hands on the sword, right? But both Skeletor and his goons had like 10 opportunities to grab that. Like there's like when he's fighting Trapjaw on that bridge.
So many goddamn
and the sword goes
times.
and slides towards the bad guys. Any one of them, including Trapjaw, could have just picked it up and walked away. But then they keep fighting them like, just take the sword. Now we find out later that the sword, it wouldn't have worked for them because it's not about them. He's the actual vessel, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, you don't know that. Skeletor doesn't know that, and nobody grabs the sword. There's like 3 scenes like that, like the big fight scene you're talking about.
Well,
There was
one of them
times when the
did
sword
because
went away.
One of them did because he looked over and was like, "Oh shit!" and he went to go grab it.
And that was the first time in the movie where a bad guy was like, "Oh, I can get the sword."
He drops the sword so much because part of me was thinking, if he drops the sword, does he go back to regular Adam? It's like, no. It's like, so when does he power down? Because it's like he had stayed He-Man for a huge chunk of the movie, and I'm like, he's not even using his powers right now. Shouldn't he revert back to Adam now? And it wasn't, and then he reverted back to Adam off screen. So it was just like, where was the transition?
Like the end where he'd run back into the castle to change.
Does he
think we don't know?
That was a great. It was like, just let him do his thing.
You know, that ending that bothered me a little bit because that whole ending. Well, first of all, like I said, they put them all in they used that to put them all in the cartoon accurate costumes, including Tila and Adam had the vest and everything, and they had them doing like that over the top, that backwards, that laugh. You know, the group of them they always at the end of every episode.
That went a little too long.
That one they did a few too many times. And then they did the thing where he hit him running back to change, and they're like, "Does he think we don't know?" It's like, of course you know. You guys were there the last couple times he transformed, so why are they acting like this is a secret now? It's like, that would have been funny stuff if it wasn't already like negated earlier in the movie. But
it also, the final shot, it didn't look like Nicholas as He-Man, like the freeze.
Oh, that last shot was so bad CGI.
It was a bad CGI shot. Ooh. But I did love Dolph Lundgren being there.
I thought that was a perfect use of a cameo. You didn't try to make him a major supporting character. You didn't overdo it. You kind of made that hint, like, you know, oh, you got any advice for the new guy? And I thought that worked perfect.
Oh, it was so well done. And then he uses that later to rally the troops. I'm like, that was probably one of the best passing of the torch scenes. Mm-hmm. You know, outside of like the rundown when the Rock goes past Arnold, he goes, "Good luck." Or have fun or whatever. Yeah, I was like, that was good because it was super subtle. This one was like, no, this is an actual scene, and I'm here for it. And like, I went and saw it with a buddy because he was like, my fiance won't see this because she says it's too nerdy. Will you go with me? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go fucking see it anyway, so you can come with me. I don't think he saw the OG one, so like, I'm geeking out when I see Dolph Lundgren there. And I was like looking at him and he was just kind of watching the movie. And I'm like, okay, he must either A, not care, or B, he never watched the OG. Or he just doesn't recognize that's He-Man. But like, I'm like, yes. Like the whole first act when they're in Eternia, I was just like so happy. So happy with everything. And like Dolph Lundgren, there was so much to love about this, but it like you said, it wasn't a perfect movie. Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, yes. Because the one thing I think that was the most perfect about this movie was how they explained the stupid fucking names. Because first of all,
and the jokes worked so well too.
Well, because they just call him Adam through the whole movie. He-Man is never mentioned the entire movie. Yeah. And then when he refers to people as Ram Man and Mechanic and that stuff, they're all like, "What the fuck? That's not my name. Why are you calling me Ram Man?" You know, and I thought, and then you find, because it's like, he's like, well, you know, that's what in my mind I named you because I was a 10-year-old kid. I didn't know any better. So when I started thinking back to my years at Eternia, I was like, oh, that was Ram Man, that was Mechanic. So those are the kind of names a kid would come up with for people who looked like that.
That was Fist Guys.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's nothing I'll get into in a second. But I think that was a perfect explanation of these kind of ridiculous, childish names, and especially at the end when they then come full circle and be like, "What did you call yourself?" And he's like, "You guys are gonna laugh." Like, "Oh, tell us." He's like, He-Man. And it's like, because it's something that a 10-year-old kid would name a big, muscular superhero kind of guy. And I thought that was brilliant because they had to find a way to make those names, because they don't want to take those names away from people, but they have to find a way to make it work in this world without being stupid. And so by having it, because a kid named them that, it makes sense.
That was always the thing when you went back and watched the cartoons. Mm-hmm. When like you go like, man, they really didn't try on these names. It's like Reptile Dude. And it's like, what? You guys really didn't try. But it's like,
well, because like Star Wars, for instance, in the Star Wars action figures of like the first movie, they had names like Hammerhead, Walrus Man, all the just kind of dumb names based on vaguely how they look. But those were like characters who didn't talk. Nobody called them that in the movie. And then later on, they retconned them and gave them real names. But if in the movie, like Luke Skywalker could walk around going, "Hey, Walrus Man, hey, Hammerhead," it would have been stupid. But in the case of Master of the Universe, they are called that, so they had to find a way to explain it, and I thought they did it perfectly. Now, that being said, as much as I talk about how he made this movie family friendly, there's a surprising amount of adult joke. Well, it wasn't a large quantity, but like they kept talking about Fisto. They made like 5 different jokes about fist him, and he likes to he fists people, and every time he kind of like, okay.
I audibly laughed out loud when Fisto goes, "Give him some head, Ram." No.
That's the other one. Yeah, hey, Ram Man.
I laughed out loud,
and I was like, I was amused by it, but at the same time, I'm thinking, this is weird for the tone of the film. You know how this has kind of been so kind of not like a G-rated thing, but it's like it's just weird to throw in these jokes that are clearly meant to have some innuendo to them when nothing else in the movie has that except for Fisto.
It's Shrek humor.
Yeah,
it is Shrek humor, but a little more on the point. I laughed at the head part. I thought that.
I laughed at him. I just felt it was a little out of place, you know. But
it worked for me.
But yeah, that's the only thing I want to mention was the names.
Yeah. But what were your guys' thoughts? Did you guys agree with us? Did you guys both enjoy Scary Movie and Masters of the Universe? Let us know in the comments below. Coming up next, every time we do this, I never have it pulled up, and you would think by now I would have, fucking remember to pull this up before we shoot. Next big stuff. Let's see. This upcoming week.
Disclosure Day next week.
Disclosure Day and maybe The Furious for me. I'm thinking more and more that I'm going to get it because it was a secret movie. The worst fucking time to have it as a secret movie, and I can't fucking do it because I'm moving. Brian messages me. He goes, dude, The Furious is the secret movie Monday, dude. And I'm like, I'm literally trying to load shit into a U-Haul. I can't stop to go watch the movie right now. And I'm like, I swear to God, if June 12th comes and Furious is not in my theater and my only chance to have seen it was that fucking secret movie, I'm going to be pissed.
I really think you are going to get it because I'm looking at, because like I've actually been checking the theaters in your areas and they don't have showtimes yet for that day, for opening day.
I'm about to pull it up right now just to see.
The only thing they have listed is like Disclosure Day. They don't have the rest of their movies listed. But theaters around me, it's not just the far ones, it's even like the smaller local ones. So it's
got Disclosure Day and Stop That Train.
Ugh, don't start me on that.
Oh, yeah, stop that. I'm sorry. Little Cyrus. That is easily one of the worst fucking trailers I've ever seen. That is going to be the worst. I told Brian when I saw that trailer, I was like, it's either going to be the worst fucking movie of the year or it's going to be brilliantly, stupidly funny.
I'm going to go ahead. If you want to pencil it as worst movie of the year, go ahead because I'm not going to see it.
I will only, let's put it this way. I will only make myself see it if A, the reviews are through the fucking roof and I got to go bullshit and I got to watch it. Or B, we're near the end of the year and I'm not happy with my worst of list and I need to pass.
See it just to hate watch it.
That's what I did with most of the worst movies. You're like, why did you watch this? Like, because I needed more for my worst of. That's why. And I could kill an hour and a half. But yeah, right now those are the only two. They don't have Furious down yet, so that makes me worry.
They also don't have the rest of the showtimes for everything else either. So I think there's a good chance that it'll open in your area. After that, I don't see us doing anything.
Well, the week after that's Toy Story 5.
I'm not going to do a review on that. I might not even see that.
I mean, I fucking.
You can see it.
Toy Story 5. Of course, I'm going to go see it.
But
that's a Robin Hood too. That could be good.
The next one we'll definitely do. It probably won't be until like Odyssey, but we're trying to get back on track with other stuff. What?
June 26th, Supergirl and Jackass.
Oh, Supergirl. I don't see us doing a review on Jackass.
We did the other Jackass.
Yeah, but half of this movie is this retrospective of the previous ones.
When is Odyssey? I don't even see it.
Odyssey is July 17th.
Oh no, we got Evil Dead Burn.
Evil Dead Burn. That's not until 24th.
It says July 10th on my thing.
Oh, I don't, that movie's moved so many times. I don't even know which one's correct anymore. Anyway, wrap it up.
Anyway, we got plenty to come. We also have new show ideas we're coming up with as well that we still have to iron out, and that will, be stuff. So we're gonna have more stuff popping up here soon. Plus, at the end of the month, we have the first half of 2026 review, where we're gonna go over our top 10 films of the year so far, our worst films of the year so far, surprise disappointments, and then look forward to the second half of the year. So we got plenty of stuff, so stick around, guys. Also, as you guys have seen, I've added it now into the bottom of our feed. We are also on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon Music. So if you guys can't watch us, you can listen to us. So don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. And we'll be back next week for Disclosure Day, unless it really just sucks and we really don't want to shoot a review for it. And if I can see The Furious, I'm definitely going to want to talk about that. And Brian's going to have probably more that he wants to talk about that he didn't say in his little review that he did. So we'll definitely probably be back next week. But until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Wasserkrug. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.